I'm Chris with Hillsborough County Public Library, and I'm joined by Chrissy. How are you, Chrissy?
Oh, I'm doing very well, Chris. Thank you.
Great.
And I'm Chrissy Toth. I'm with the Robert Saunders Public Library here in Tampa.
Right. Welcome, everyone, to this evening's program, an overview to historic Sanborn maps. I've already introduced Chrissy, but I'll say hello to you again, and hello, everyone. We are excited for this program, and without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Chrissy.
Thank you, Chris. And again, I'm Chrissy Toth. I'm the History and Genealogy Librarian here at the Robert W. Saunders Senior Public Library. And we're just going to have an overview of Sanborn maps, and I'll show you how to access them and how to do research. All right, and I'm ready to turn my camera off and go on to the slides. Okay, and this program today is in celebration of City of Tampa Archives, and this is Archives Awareness Week, and the city turns 135. So thank you to our partners, City of Tampa Archives. Okay, about Sanborn and his maps. Okay, so founded in 1867 by Daniel Sanborn, and he was a survey who already started drawing these maps actually in 1866 and maybe just a little bit beforehand. This success led him to found his own company in 1867. The Sanborn Map Company was created for fire insurance companies to assess the risk associated or liabilities with insuring a particular property. And the aim was to survey every city and town in America, which he pretty much succeeded in doing. The period of significance, I would say, would be anywhere from the 1880s to the 1950s. That was really high time for Sanborn maps. The last Sanborn fire maps were published on microfilm in 1977, but old Sanborn maps remain useful for historic research into urban geography. The license for the maps was acquired by Land Data Company Environmental Data Resources, EDR, and it was acquired. They acquired it in 2019 by real estate services company Lightbox. So it's still in existence to this very day. And most of these maps are bound in 100-page volumes with 21-inch by 25-inch pages scaled 50 foot by 1 inch. So these are pretty massive, pretty big maps. If you ever get a chance to really see them, you need a very long table to read an actual Sanborn map because they are very huge. All right, next slide, please. Okay, using Sanborn maps for research. The many ways you can use the Sanborn maps are for history of your home or your neighborhood, finding the former names of streets, urban planning designs, urban growth and decline in the district, evolution of specific buildings, sites, and districts, historic preservations, in order to understand the significance and historical evolution of buildings, including their historic uses and building materials and conservation and rehab efforts, definitely Sanborn maps, and locate the residences and workplace of ancestors. And real quick, I'm going to add a fun fact. If you've ever gone on YouTube or saw on the Discovery Channel, these shows that have men with their, their retirees, and they've got the metal detectors, and they go, they scan and they're checking and they dig and they find coins and old buttons and badges and all kinds of cool things from Civil War even earlier. They find that by Sanborn maps. They find what used to be a city or a field, and that's how they know to start digging and finding all these cool things. All right, next slide, please. Okay, the ProQuest digital Sanborn maps at the library. That is the database we use, and it's through ProQuest. And I'll show you how to access it just in a moment. I'll give you the demonstration, but you would visit our webpage at hcplc.org. If you're working at the library, no problem jumping on once you get onto our website. However, if you're working from home, you will need your library card number and PIN. The range of years that we have our Sanborns here in Tampa, 1884 to 1951. And back to where I was talking about the actual real maps, besides the digital database, you can also find the Sanborn maps at the downtown library branch over at John F. Germany Public Library, our partners at USF Special Collections, and of course the headquarters of all Sanborn maps, Library of Congress. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go on to my computer screen so I can show you how to access the maps and how to do research. And it's just going to be a quick overview. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we've arrived at the main page here, the homepage at hcplc.org, which is a long way of saying the library, but it stands for Hillsborough County Public Library Cooperative.org. And it's going to be the second tab here at the top. You see it just turned green, Learning and Research. So at the upper right hand, click on Learning and Research. And we've arrived at the Learning and Research page, and we're going to scroll down just a little bit. Under Popular, it's the third portal, Genealogy and History. I click on that. Once we arrive on the Genealogy and History page, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to pass General Genealogy, past Subject-Specific Genealogy and History, and up to Florida History. It's going to be the second portal in. There it is, Sanborn Digital Maps. Okay, so let's go ahead and browse and explore. Don't mind if I do. I'm going to click on the button here. And you only have one choice here for select a state, and that's Florida. So select Florida from the drop down. Now here's where it gets fun. Select a city. Well, we're going to talk about Tampa Sanborn maps today, but the good news is you got the whole state to check out. So for those that are history buffs, if you have ancestors in another city or just into Florida history, you've got buku cities to choose from. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to Tampa and select a date. Here's our range of dates, and we'll talk about the range of dates in just a moment. And the good news is once we go past this page, you don't have to go back to click on another year. It'll be on the next page, so don't worry. So we're going to go ahead and start with the earliest here at June 1884. Okay, so you'll see here to the right of the screen the sheets on the map. That's what these thumbnails are, sheet 1 and sheet 2. And they're very long maps, big long maps here. And they've been scanned to fit onto the computer screen, which I think is terrific. It is going to be in black and white, like I mentioned before. And the reason why it's in black and white is it just has to do with cost, really. But when you see these in person, you'll see that they're in color, and the color is by code. In fact, let me go ahead and by the way, you can make it bigger over here to the left. You can zoom in or you can zoom out. You can turn it upside down or on side. Full screen, anything that you need to arrive to your research. So here I'll go ahead and show you the key in regards to what I was talking about in color. Whoops, there we go. The key in the index will also show you where you're at, but the key shows you what the colors mean, color codes. Like red's going to mean a brick building, blue is going to be a stone building, green are special materials. So this is, where the fire insurance part comes in handy, because you're learning what the building materials are used, and also the firewalls up here too. So that's kind of interesting on how they documented that back then. And then here, let's go ahead and look at this. This kind of made me laugh when I was doing the research here. So right here at the Sanborn map with our city, population is 2,000. No steam and no hand engines, no independent horse carts. Water facility, not good. So don't drink the water in Tampa, Florida, 1884. So I found that a little amusing. But here on this Sanborn map, there's no index because let's face it, we just got 2 sheets. We are a new burgeoning city here. And what you're gonna see on this map here is pretty much downtown. And downtown was not only just a place of business, but it was also a little bit, it was industrial, it was a tourist, and also residential as well. So a lot of these streets on the grid here still exist to this very day. And I'm gonna click on sheet 2 to show you something else. Here we go. And I'm gonna blow this up real quick just to show you an example. Okay, so right here on the corner of Franklin and Lafayette, which we know now today as Kennedy Boulevard, we have this building, this block here with many dwellings. And how do I know it's dwelling? Because the DWG you see on here, if you see an S, that means a store. Sometimes they can fit the name of the businesses in these small squares, or they'll put down, you'll notice here on the side, here on the right, the little addresses, so 407, 408, 409, and so forth. Also, I don't know if y'all noticed at the very beginning before the presentation, but there's a handout of a Sanborn map legend, and that's just for fun. It's not the most legible, but more than anything, it's kind of fun. It gives you just a glimpse of how people would actually read this map with the legend. But here I'll show you an example. Dwelling, DWG, or sometimes just DG might be dwelling. You see the tanks. I know that this is a general store. I have a photo studio right here, a jewelry store, a restaurant, dry goods, a barber and a fernier. And right here in the other corner facing Tampa Street is the Tribune, the Tampa Tribune building, where they had their offhand printing building right here at the bottom, if you noticed. So still relevant today because you can still find this block. Looks a little different now, but this was our very meager beginnings here in 1884. So if we go back to the top of the page, back to sheet 1 to the very top of the page, and this is the part I was saying about the year. The good news is yeah, I don't have to go back. There's a drop down. So this will easily take me to where I need to go. Now, this is the range of dates we have here for Tampa, and you're going to notice that they're not consecutive. There's even like a range of dates. It looks like Swiss cheese. There's a lot of holes in this. I don't get it. Why does it look this way? Was there a fire that burnt these maps down? No. In the date list, you'll sometimes see a date, the ranges as such, and the range indicates the date. The map makers began work on the map and the date of completion. So you got that, and then in later years, the Sanborn Company, they issued revisions that were intended to be literally pasted over the original map sheet. Now, in these cases, the last date refers to the date of the most recent pasted correction. So their collection, when it was microfilmed from the Library of Congress, it's not going to really necessarily contain these supplements or these page layovers, and but it was very common, though, when people actually had the actual maps, that they would get the supplements, they would get the layovers, and a lot of the corrections in the supplements were actually brought in from the Bureau of the Census. So let me tell you, they know who's in that building, what the building looks like. They were like the second best that worked very closely with Sanborn maps to give them the supplements to the correct, most current information they needed. However, to kind of translate this to scan, a little difficult. So we're going to go ahead and just take this as face value here. And the year is 1922. Oh, hold on, I didn't even pick it. Let's do this again. And the year is 1922. Here we go. Wonderful. All right. Now, here we go. Once we click onto 1922, already in front of us is the index. So Tampa is now a thriving city. It's you know, right before the land bust. It's land boom. We're doing great. Tourists are visiting us. Friends from the north, and you'll hear an index. Here's how you would research, and it's always going to be with streets, and the streets are going to contain all alphabetical as well as numeric, and the numeric streets are going to be spelled phonetically. So you find your street, and you'll notice as I'm getting a little closer, the sheet. So this tells me what sheet I need to find in order to find the following street. So here's all the streets that are in Tampa, 1922. And we got streets A through Z, and like I said, including the numeric. And right here at the bottom of the page, there's something called, in the bottom of the index, it's called specials. And specials are going to be anything from like, it could be subdivisions, and some of these subdivisions are interesting because some still don't carry the old names. They could be hospitals, they could be churches or schools, and even parks. So that's where we're going to, that's where you would find like landmarks, or, you know, what's familiar to your town. It's by this park or this hospital. And just for fun, we're going to find something that's still here in town, and that is, how about the Sulphur Springs pool? And it looks like sheet 215 and 216 is where I'm going to find Sulphur Springs. So again, we're going to visit the thumbnails here on the right hand side of the screen here. all the way to 215. So I'm just going to go ahead and advance to 215. There we go, 215. I'm going to click on 215. And I'm going to blow it up. And by the way, folks, besides minimizing and blowing up, you can also download, save the map onto a flash drive or onto your computer in a PDF form. You can also print it up. So the research that you do on here, it doesn't stay with the library. It doesn't stay with the computer. No, you can actually save this stuff, save your research as you're going along. So here's 215. How do I know it's 215? Well, not only does the thumbnail tell me, but here on the upper left-hand side of the sheet, 215. There it is, and there's your compass, northeast, southwest. And we still have streets that exist today, like Waters, Nebraska Avenue, Bird Street, which is where the dog track is today. And look, here is the Sulphur Springs pool. Sorry everybody, let me scroll it down a little more. Sulphur Springs Park with the pools, dance pavilion, bathhouse. I'm gonna blow it up a little more for y'all. The bathhouse, an alligator farm. Oh, gotta visit that while I'm here in Florida. And shops. Restroom, restaurants, and more stores. And I know it's a store because it says S here, store. And when I'm doing historic research with Sanborns, I kind of like to team them up with old city directories, which you can also access digitally through the library, or actually visit the downtown branch where you can pull the actual directories. Or I like to visit the library's digital collection and see what this property looked like at one time. And through the Burger Brothers digital collections here at the library, that's what the swimming hole looked like in its heyday in the 1920s. And it was photographed by the Burger Brothers company that we are so lucky to have their wonderful collection here at the library. So that's what it looked like back then. And you know what? It still exists. And I found this, I thought this was a better picture on the internet here through Creative Loafing, but the county built a new pool, an actual paved, cement or concrete pool, chlorine water, and the spring still exists that used to feed the pools back in the 20s, right behind here where you see behind the slide and behind the umbrellas. There's a fenced up area, and that's where the actual spring is. So it still exists to this very day. Alrighty, and now to continue the experience, if you'd like to do more research with Sanborn maps or just have fun and, as folks say, fall into the rabbit hole and do a little looking around, you can visit us at hcplc.org. And as I showed you, just going through learning and research, genealogy, and the ProQuest digital Sanborn maps. If you'd like to visit our digital collection, where you'll find the Burger Brothers collection and more, also under the same tab on our webpage. And recommended reading and library events for Archives Awareness Week, visit us at hcplc.org. And on the front page, you will see you'll see a portal that actually says Archives Awareness Week with the graphics, a typewriter 2022. Click on that and it'll immediately take you there, and it'll show you all the events that the library is having this week, as well as our recommended reading list.
All right, so now it's time for our question and answer portion. Chrissy, I posted the URL in the chat section for everyone, so if they want to be able to view the Archives Awareness page, they can go there as well. But
wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do some Q&A here, and we've got a few questions that have come in. Someone is asking, can they search Sanborn maps for other states using the HCPLC website?
Ooh, I regret to say the only thing we have is just the Florida drop down. But I think there might, of course, Library of Congress, you might want to try them digitally and see if you can maybe access through Library of Congress. They're wonderful, even though it sounds like a big, government name, they are actually very approachable and they love questions. So you can always ask them if there's another way to access another state to look at the digital digital maps, absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, so we got some more questions here. Someone wants to know, do the maps cover unincorporated Hillsborough?
Yes and no. It depends on the year that it came out, but yes, that's funny you asked that because I just visited East Tampa just when it was becoming an idea. So
Oh,
you
right.
do see like, yeah, you will find like a few you'll see like where exactly like the city's going to stop and where, you know, because it keeps getting built out and out, but yes, you will find incorporated as well.
All right. Someone had a question early on when you were demonstrating. There was a year range that had an asterisk. I think it was with the years 1931 to July 1951. They wanted to know if you knew what the asterisk meant.
I sure do. That means that there is a supplement, a correction by our friends at the Bureau of the Census. So that means that there was a supplement page that was probably added later from the Census Bureau.
Right. Someone was wondering, you mentioned the possibility of going to the Library of Congress to get additional maps, and they're wondering if the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico might be included in those maps. Do you know if that's the case?
I don't think our territories. No, I don't think they are included. I think it's just the 49, 50 states of America, yeah, that are included.
Okay. All right. So let's see. If a street name is not on a Sanborn map the previous year, can one assume that it did not exist?
Not necessarily. I would take advantage of the drop down and just keep searching under through the years because here's an example. The railroad. On these maps, you can see, I mean, especially in the beginning years, you can see where the railroad was beginning and how far it would go. And then to today, if you were to look at a map, how the railroads aren't being used anymore. The same
Right.
thing could be used for cities and districts also. So if there's a year that you're specifically looking for, don't give up. Go to the next year and keep searching. And if you have any questions, visit me here at the library and I'd be happy to help you with your research.
Okay, great. So you mentioned the Library of Congress. We're going back to that again. Can the public see or access the actual physical maps at the Library of Congress?
That's a good question. I would ask. I would ask the Library of Congress if that's a good question. I don't know if they bring out the white gloves and bring it out to the public. That's a good question. Not sure. You would have to definitely inquire about that. But I know that they can probably tell you where you can maybe digitally access them through other institutions, if not their own.
Okay.
But on a side note though, as far as here in Tampa, oh yeah, I know that our downtown branch, John F. Germany, our partners at USF Special Collections, they definitely have the actual Tampa Sanborn maps, and yes, the public can access them.
Great. To access our library's collection remotely, does someone have to have a valid library card and PIN?
Yes, unless you're working under the roof of the library, any of our 26 branches, there won't be any problems accessing if you're at the library. But yes, if you're at home, not at the library, then yes, you would have to have a library card with PIN.
Okay. And I think you mentioned this earlier, but just in case someone wants to know, what years are these available for? Of like, what is the year range?
Oh yeah. So oh Raf, I just had my note. I think it's well, we started off in the very beginning with 1884, and then I think it goes up to 1951. I think here in Tampa. I think that's the range for that.
Okay, great. Someone's asking about the Saunders Library and the research room. Is that accessible to the public?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, the special library, special collection upstairs is it stays open as well as with the regular library. Only if there's staffing issues we close it, but other than that, it should be open business hours Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. And of course, you're more than welcome to call us here at the library just to confirm before you get in the car and head over.
All right. So we have a few more questions coming in here. Someone wants to know, can I use Sanborn maps to find graveyards?
Oh, yeah, that's a very hot topic here in Tampa. Not really, not necessarily. No. Sanborn's, I mean, you might see a plot of land, but to find graveyards, the best research really is city plats. And that would be through our friends over at City of Tampa Archives that house those through the plats and maybe some deeds. But as far as Sanborn maps go, no, those are more better with like residential neighborhoods, mixed use with business or industry and residential. That's where you're going to find a bulk of what you're going to find on Sanborn.
Okay, great. Someone is asking, do you know offhand if the maps prior to our becoming a city show what the area north of Harrison Street was called?
Oh, yes. Is she talking about Michigan Avenue, perhaps? But yes, it will show that, and that's the brilliance of Sanborn maps. They will give names to streets that have been changed. For example, again, Lafayette Avenue is now Kennedy Boulevard. What used to be Buffalo Avenue, we now know as Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and you will find that on a Sanborn map. Absolutely, as well as names of subdivisions that, in districts that nobody knows names of, and you'll find it in a Sanborn.
Wow, that's a great. Can I use Sanborn maps to find my property line?
Oh, no. These maps are, they really don't have any legal standing, and they're not to be used for commercial use, just really for historic reasons and historic research. If your neighbor's oak tree catches fire and the fire goes onto your wooden fence, can you use this as evidence when you go to court and settle? Absolutely not. You won't have a leg to stand on. It's just for your own, for historic research.
All right. It's still a great historic research tool, though, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think that might be it for questions. Let me check something real quickly here. Let me scroll up to see if I missed any. I don't believe I did. And I don't see any more coming in, so I believe that is it for Q&A. And someone just said thank you, and I say that as well. It was a great presentation. So we're going to let's come back on camera, and let's see, bring up my screen. Well, my screen's already up. There we are. All right, so now if you want to contact us at the library, you can call the number here on our screen, 813-273-3652. And also on our website, you can submit your library story, and you can also find out about upcoming events like the one you enjoyed this evening. Chrissy, thank you so much. That was fantastic, as usual. And all the thank yous. There's more thank yous coming in here. Great program. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, and thank you all for joining us. So,
yes, thank you.
I hope you have a great evening, and we'll see everyone soon. Bye.